good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to another video. Today we got an exciting video, one that I've been asked about for quite a while and I'm finally getting around to it. We're going to be talking about the half pass. There's a lot of value, at least for me, I think, in even just turning one card over, but being able to turn over half the deck, 51 out of 52 cards, it's a valuable skill to be able to have to do secretly. We're going to get into the half pass, the mechanics, some of my subtleties and how I handle it, and then hopefully you can get some insight into how to improve your half pass and make it truly invisible. So if you like this video, don't forget to, like and drop a comment, and I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. Helps me out a lot. Check the link below. I do offer private lessons, can help you out one-on-one if you're really struggling with this very, very impossible move, the half pass. You can check out some private lessons we can go over anything card magic, mentalism related, whatever you really want to work on. We can get you to becoming a better magician. And with all that said, let's jump right into the half pass. So let's have a card selected. We'll say this guy right here, the 2 of spades. Now I'll take the 2 of spades, we'll leave it, you can see, about halfway in the deck. I'll give it the little magic spin and place it into the middle. Now, here's something very interesting. If I take the deck, give it a little tap on the table, and I'll show you there's nothing in my hand. If I just take my hand over top and I just rub it on the top of the deck, you can actually see that one card turns over. But it's actually not just one card, it's actually every card in the deck. Look, I can cut anywhere and you'll see that the cards are face up. No, seriously, look, every single card is now face up. Well, that is every single card except for one, and if we're lucky, that should be your selected card. So that was a fun little effect that I will teach at the end of the video that uses the half pass, and hopefully you were able to kind of see how that half pass looks or doesn't look, because hopefully it was fairly invisible, and I'm sure you guys could spot when it happened, but hopefully you couldn't really see too much going on, which is kind of the deal here. So if you haven't seen my turnover pass or Herman pass video, I think those are also good resources because a lot of the pass mechanics are going to be similar in that case, right? So turnover pass, we're doing this. Herman pass, look, it starts exactly the same, and then we're doing this. It just doesn't end up being like that. And then the half pass, again, it's all this same starting position, and then we're doing that. Okay, so the important things that I'll cover here, I like to have the packets roughly even. I always find that's better for these kind of passes. Now, this hand's gonna come over top in bill grip like this, and that's gonna provide you a lot of cover, more than just the deck, which is great. And it's going to come forward, okay? Coming forward so that this back of the deck is pointing right at your spectator's eye line. And look about how much cover this gives you. Like, I can do all kinds of things back here with my wrist and flicking, I'm like rotating the cards all around, like going like this and all this stuff, and you can't see any of it. So we're obviously doing a much smaller motion than that, which is great. So what you're going to do is, as you come forward, these fingers are going to pull down, okay? The pinky and ring finger are going to pull down and leverage this packet up. Now what's happening underneath is these are coming like this until the point where this has reached the sort of corner that's under your hand to where it's ready to rotate. So basically once it hits perpendicular, then it's at a point where it could go either way. So the second it passes that perpendicular point, now it's ready to slide underneath, right? So it's going to pull, and then when you get to here, now it's ready to slide. Okay, so you're coming and you slide. Now the hardest part of the half pass is the replacement. Once you get past this point, to square up everything without this happening or without this big fold motion in the front, all these things happen. So there's 2 steps that I like to break the half pass into. So there's this and then this, okay? Now the first one is a lot easier to hide. If you come forward, that's all hidden. This is all going to be hidden by you coming forward, right? You didn't see any of that as I come forward. The next part is a little bit harder to hide, but the important thing is to use this cover of the hand, right? If I didn't have this cover of the hand, if I was just holding this at the fingertips, I could still come forward and get that, that pivot pretty well hidden. But now, let's see if I can show this. Now you're going to see it stick out here if you're not perfectly aligned. And if you have to like stop so it doesn't flash there, you're very likely going to flash here. So now imagine we have all this cover of the hand, and I can come and stick this packet way past the deck out here, right? So you see what I'm saying? Like normally you'd kind of pivot it here, but if I pivot it here, nothing is going to flash. You're not going to see the deck on this side because I have all this hand in the way. and you're definitely not going to see it stick out here because it's not even close to being square with the deck. So this is an over-exaggeration, but it illustrates the point I'm trying to get at. If you just use this hand a little bit and go a little bit past the deck, now you're safe to not flash at this end, and that's your biggest worry. So you come forward, and now you can square up. So that'll cover your flashing on each side. The hand will cover one side, and then just go, instead of going even with the deck, just go slightly past the deck as you close, and now there'll be a step here, so you'll never flash the deck popping out this way. Another thing that's important is the motion. So I pull back, and I pull kind of out. Okay, so instead of just doing a perfect, turn like this, you're gonna come back a little bit. So now the packets are offset at the back as well. And I find that helps keep this front hidden, because that's the other flash point now. You're not gonna flash out the back unless you come like way out here, right? So there's really not much to worry. You could come, this far back easily and you're not gonna be close to flashing. But if you keep straight on, you're gonna have to deal with this. Now coming forward does help that, but as you start to close the deck, even if you're forward, if you're forward and you line these packets up corner to corner, even if I'm forward, there'll still be a little flash down there. So you do need to slightly pull this backwards a little bit, so you can see it coming back. So now when I'm forward, there's a step there as well. So if you combine all these little techniques and basically get the deck in that right spot, which is gonna be underneath your hand, right? So if this is your top packet, you want the deck to be kind of back here. Okay, so it's back underneath my hand, right? And then it's pulled back. So it's pulled back and over this way underneath my hand. So now when I pick up the top packet, it's there. It's offset from the top and offset towards the right. And now that's where the turn happens, and you can see everything's totally invisible. So you see I just flipped the packet, and it's in a pretty similar spot. If I square it up, it's generally in that same spot where it happened. So now the last portion of this is going to be squaring everything together. And that's when I think little subtleties come in handy, which we'll talk about in a second. So I want to show you this from a few different angles. So we'll start at the side. So if I come forward, and this comes back and out to the side, this isn't a great angle, but I think it's valuable still, and then it's gonna do the square up. Okay, we'll talk about the square up in a second. So this angle I think will be better. You pull back, and you see right now I am offset both this way, and then I'm coming and I square up everything. From the back angle, you can see the cards get forward, this comes back and out to the side. You can see how it's out this way underneath my hand as it flips, and then it squares up. So the square up is an important part, because if you can get all of this invisible, right, where you do the flip, now just combining that with a bit of a square up is important. You kind of want to get to a point where this happens in one motion, so you start flipping, and as it's closing, you're starting to square everything, okay? You don't really want to do it in two motions where you flip the packet, and it's out here, and then you square everything. Try to combine it so it gets flipped out here, and then as it's closing, you start to bring it and it gets squared together. So that's kind of your end goal. So things that help squaring. So we get to this point, and I'm gonna come back forward with this hand, kind of in this open position, and I'm using these fingers to press this against it, okay? Press this up against the top packet. So like this, and press it up, okay? As that pressing happens, the back thumb comes around here to square it front and back, so between like these front fingers and the back thumb. And then this hand's gonna shoot underneath to grab this side, and this thumb's gonna come on the top, and we're gonna square all around like this, which is kind of normal, what you'd expect from a square up, but it comes like this, and then like that. Now one thing that I find helps is if you can, as you're starting to close, you can square up front and back square, and then you just kind of worry about, touching up the sides, because the flash is not super worrying if you have the tilt and you're back when you do the flip. Now coming forward, right? Coming forward and doing the square is going to be fairly hidden. Do the move. These fingers press the deck up, because the further down it is, the more room to flash. So you want to immediately press it up against the packet so they're close together. And then what I like to do, an angle thing, because I'm forward like this, as I start to press this packet up, this is gonna kind of come over to my left. I like to slightly turn to the left, and that's gonna hide the gap here that's getting closed and the sort of discrepancy of the cards being maybe not the right way, or if you flash that a little bit. So I kind of come this way, and that sort of hides that, and I do this. Now these front fingers are good to hide the gap at the front as well. And you can see really how invisible you can really make this pass look. The only thing you need to consider now is justifying the actions. So that's kind of a good segue into some subtleties. So I think subtleties are going to be the thing that's going to help hide this and hide the squaring. That's kind of where you get the subtleties involved, and they help hide all that motion. Generally, you come forward and you do it, and then you get into a square, which helps kind of justify all the movement, right? The movement was you sort of re-gripping the deck to do a square. That's kind of what you want to kind of sell this as, right? There's two types of squares that I like. One, if I have a table, so I'll do the pass and then as quickly as I can. So basically, the second the packets are become back to back now or whatever, I'm gonna now pivot this hand, turn slightly to the left, and that will help hide this edge and everything. And I'm gonna tap it on the table, tap this edge along the table as the thumb finishes squaring it off. The tapping not only helps hide any little discrepancies if you happen to have a bright back design like this and you can flash it, this kind of will really help hide that as you get it taken care of. So you don't need to go crazy, but definitely a little like this, and you're good. And it kind of flows really nicely with the movement. You're coming here, and then you're gonna turn the hand all in one motion. If you don't have a table, doing it in the hands, it's kind of the exact same thing, except you're nothing to bang it on. So you come like this, and then you're gonna turn the whole deck up, and turn to the side slightly as you square. So for me, at a bit of a speed, it's like that, right? And you can see, I did flash the back design a little bit there, and that's only because that would be because I didn't come over enough this way to hide that, so it was out like this. But even still, you can help hide that a lot with the jarring action of the squaring, right? If you have any slight mistakes. And there's also the dribble, right? If you think about it, you're already in a good position to dribble because you're in a biddle grip. So you come, you complete the half pass, and then this is where it gets tricky, because obviously you don't want to dribble like that and reveal the halves changing. So you just need to make sure you dribble only the top half if the context works for you. You might have only used the half pass to flip one card or whatever, but you just want to reveal that top half. Let's say they think the deck's face down. I go into a half pass, and then I'm going to dribble, and that helps hide everything. Now, the thing you got to be careful of is just making sure that when you do this, you'll be tempted to just start dribbling that top packet. But if you do that, you will flash this, right? Because you go like this and you'll flash that for a second. So you need to make sure you drop, as you flip, you drop a couple of cards off to cover, and then you go into your dribble. That's a great subtlety that I absolutely love. And it also solidifies that the deck's all the same way, or the way that you're saying it is, because they get to see what they feel is a good portion of the deck, even though you've already passed it. So I absolutely love the dribble. That's a hidden gem in this video. Now, jumping into a few other ideas, I want to talk about three things quickly. One is the deep cop variation. So if you're having trouble, you can also deep cop your whole packet and do sort of the same movements back here and keep the deck a little bit more upright. What's going to happen though is you're going to get this weird finger curl underneath, which personally I'm not as much of a fan of, as I just like to come forward. Some people might not like the big come forward gesture, but again, I think it's still pretty subtle. And if you add it with a square technique, again, you're already coming forward and to the side to do the squaring thing, so it all kind of fits. But another option, if you bring the cards back, drop off your packet into a deep cop, now you can kind of keep that more upright as you do the half pass and achieve the same thing, but it'll help hide that front flash because those cards are in such a deep cop. Again, you will get a little bit of flash with those front fingers, but again, you pick your poison at the end of the day. Also, I want to talk about half passing one card. I basically use the same mechanics, and this is probably what I use the half pass for the most, just a simple flip. So you can do, big mechanics, come forward and hide everything and it's completely hidden. Or I prefer the deep cop for this, because you have it in a deep cop and it's really easy to just flip that one card and square it up. So the deep cop variation is kind of like that, and I'll do sort of a square and I get it flipped. Watch the mechanics of these fingers, because they do something a little different. They pull back, they pinch over, and then they push it up and pull it back forward. And that's what helps get the card. So at a bit of speed, it's like this, right? And then you do your square. So it's in a deep cop. And then you can see how they, not only do they turn it, but they pull it up. Because you only have one card, you can afford to do this. Flip it and then pull it square. And from the top, you get kind of a motion like that. And so I really like kind of using the deep cop for just one card. Now the other thing is practicing this. The more cards you have in the top hand, the easier it is, right? So if you're only passing 2, you have more cards in the top hand, it's easier. So you can continue to practice until you can get good at only doing it with one card in this hand. And it is definitely very possible to do it invisibly, and it also can be pretty useful. So that's a great way to practice. And that leads right into talking about quickly that little effect, something that's super awesome with the half pass and very, very easy. So you'd have a card selected. In this case, look at that, Jack of Hearts. You're gonna have it controlled to the top of the deck. Now, you're gonna half pass the deck, the entire deck, except for the Jack of Hearts. And that's how you're gonna achieve the reversal. I like to get a break first, and then I'm gonna grip that card. Same exact mechanics. I come forward, I'm turning the whole deck underneath, and as I place it up, I'm gonna turn and square it against the table. I'll justify that as part of the process or what's making the magic happen. So as I do the pass, I'll say all I have to do is give it a bang on the table just like that. And in that, I've done the pass. And if I don't, then I'll just, square as I casually say, you won't forget your card, will you? They'll respond, it'll take some of the heat off, and you've done it. Now when you're in this position, you say, look, all I have to do is take my hand and rub it over the card like this, and all you're gonna do is an Erdnase change. If you need a tutorial on that, go check out my video, but you're gonna push forward, pull back, and change the card. So now that card is second from top, and you say, look, when I wave my hand, and what that does is it flips over one card face up. Pretty cool, right? But actually it doesn't just flip one card, it flips every card in the deck. And I pause and let them sort of, let it settle. They won't really believe you. You say, look, I can cut the cards wherever I want. You want to cut about half. And this is what will bury the card in the middle, which I think is really nice because it's really well justified. You say, look, I just cut the cards wherever I want. And you look, there's another face-up card. You say, no, seriously, look, every single card is now face-up except for one, and it is their selection. So I hope you guys enjoy that little effect using the half pass. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed that tutorial and hopefully it was helpful. I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, that's what I do these videos for, to help you guys and get you to becoming better magicians. If you need a hand on anything more, if you need a little bit more help, feel free to check out my private lessons at the link below, sign up for one, and we can have a one-on-one and get you on your way to becoming an even better magician, which is always great. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you'd like more like this, if you have any ideas for tutorials you'd like to see or any other kind of videos, let me know in the comments below, and please, if you can, subscribe to the channel. It's free and it really helps me out. So guys, with all that said, as always, do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.